Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Today I'm going to review the Peacock HAIYI Tourbillon Diver. This is a new for 2026 tourbillon-based diving watch from Chinese Peacock. Peacock is pretty well known for making watch movements in China, as well as a full assortment of tourbillon movements. For 2026, they have a brand new generation of in-house made tourbillon movement, which in one form is featured here. We talked about a watch on aBlogtoWatch earlier called the Peacock Divine Craft, which I believe was the very first model to introduce this new generation movement. The movement in that watch is a little bit different, operates exactly the same, but it has a little bit different of an architecture. It's a little bit more open, designed to show off some of the gears. This is a little bit more sporty. And the movement inside of the HAIYI Tourbillon Diver is the PAX 9610B, and in the Divine Craft, it was the PA6 9610A. So very similar. These movements, and I'll talk about that first since it's so critical to this watch, these are manually wound tourbillon movements with a 60-second tourbillon here. You can see it has an open dial, so you can see right through to the back, but it's not totally skeletonized in that the rest of the watch face, of course, is solid. You can't see it too well here, but the very tip of the tourbillon, there's a little diamond. That is something that I think German Lange Sohne innovated. Peacock thought it was pretty cool. It's not your top grade diamond, but there is a real natural diamond right there in the little tip of the tourbillon cage, which doubles as the seconds indicator because it makes a full rotation around the dial each 60 seconds. It's a pretty big tourbillon in proportion to the size of the dial. I think what's great about this watch, and one of the things that I will talk about, is that it's much more compact than what Peacock was making just one generation before. And that's really why I think this watch is desirable. This is a 4 Hertz operational frequency tourbillon movement. According to Peacock, they use a Gyromax style escapement. That is basic, and I'm sorry, balance wheel. That is the shape of the balance wheel there. And that's something that I think Patek Philippe came up with, but they don't have the, I guess, intellectual property rights. Maybe it was a patent that expired. So this is something that kind of was originally for a high-end Swiss watch in terms of design, and now you have it in a Chinese-made tourbillon, all for the better. The watch has a power reserve of 68 hours. The movement is pretty nicely decorated, I have to say. I've seen, earlier Chinese tourbillon watches, and I think one of the areas that they suffered was a lot of machine finishing. And a lot of it still is machine, but it's a lot better. One of the things that I want to point out as being particularly better and a little bit more elegant looking is this spiral, sometimes called snailing, on these circular structures here. So this is a mainspring here, and you can see this snailing. I've seen this look really ugly, and this looks a lot better. These Geneva style stripes are far better than some of the ugly machining that was done just a few years ago. So this is a market improvement. Size-wise, the PAX 9610B is also much smaller than before. And even though this is a more accurate movement, it's also a smaller movement. So the HAIYI Tourbillon Diver case is 40 millimeters wide in steel. It's 904L steel, which is a slightly more impressive metal, I guess. It's basically the same. It polishes nicely, but people like it because that's the similar alloy that Rolex uses versus 316. So 904L steel is supposed to be a little fancier, and it polishes a bit different. Anyhow, water resistant to 300 meters, 12.2 millimeters thick. So this is a very compact wearing watch. For comparison, the previous generation Peacock Tourbillon Diver was nearly 45 millimeters wide. I think it was like 44.5 millimeters wide, which would have been unwearable for most people. The unidirectional rotating diver style bezel has a sapphire crystal overlay, loomed markers underneath it. So it's really great to have a sapphire crystal there. That's very scratch resistant and also has a nice look to it. Do you want to know what else is sapphire crystal on this watch? The hands. Well, there's the crystal over the dial. That is sapphire, yes. But the hands on this watch are also sapphire. This is one of the more artistic, maybe controversial decisions that Peacock made, but they have these transparent pieces of sapphire with these sort of V-shaped sections of luminous material on the hands. And they're cool. They're pretty legible. They could be a little bit more legible, especially in the dark, because the hour markers, which are these applied sections of luminous material, like glow so well. They glow like bigger, more in a more intense way than the hands. But these are cool hands. And again, who doesn't like sapphire hands? That's a very cool feature. I don't think that Peacock has done this for the first time, but it's actually very uncommon. This is the strap. It's a matching strap that goes with the case. It's a fluoroelastomer strap. This is the blue version of the HAIYI diver. There is a green model and I think one with a purple dial and a black bezel. The blue one just has a nice classic look to it. And if you look closely at the dial, this is what Peacock calls Lindsay engraving, a special type of machine that's hand operated, like a guilloche engraving machine is hand operated. This is a slightly different type of machine. And it creates these concentric circles that really sort of have a water theme. I call them, they look like ripples. Peacock says that they were inspired by waves, but it's really nice to see an artistic textured dial there. So what is really going on in this watch? Is it just a 300-meter resistant dive watch with a tourbillon? No, it's a full artistic expression with the dial, with the hands, with the focus on trying to give it a little bit of a unique design in some areas. This is an interesting type of product, and it shows a real modernization in the approach of designers at Peacock, where it's less of let's have an affordable tourbillon sport watch and really trying to make it both a better tool as well as a little bit more distinctive for them. So I found the Peacock HAIYI Tourbillon Diver very, very interesting. The one thing that I would have liked this watch to have is automatic winding. Okay, maybe that I have to wait a few generations, but when it comes to sport watches, I'm not really good about remembering to wind them, so I prefer automatic winding, or at the very least, a power reserve indicator. So I would really like it if Peacock could think of a way of putting a power reserve indicator even on the back of the watch where there's space on the movement, maybe even on the dial, but an automatic version of this watch, maybe even with a micro rotor or even a full rotor, I don't care, would be really, really cool. This has been the review of the Peacock HAIYI Tourbillon Diver. You can see the full review of this watch on the aBlogtoWatch.com website. Retail price for this watch is $3,499. And of course, go to the Peacock website to learn more. Thanks.